Okay, this is a full review of the 2015 Volks Golf GTI. Of note, I did a sort of partial review a few months ago when I got a chance to test drive this car. This is going to be a more in-depth review. However, I'll try not to go over the things I already covered in that review, in the previous review. I'll post a web link below for that review. Now for this car, my cousin bought this car. She bought the Autobahn version with the dual clutch transmission. It's the car from this angle. I don't know, when I saw it and I spent a bit of time with it, I couldn't get over how much smaller it looked than the previous version. Seems to me the previous version looked bigger, but you know how it is today with the crazy design. They can make things look smaller even though they're bigger, as is the case I think with this car. The brakes are pretty good on this car. I didn't mention it later, but they're pretty good. Other reviewers have said they were a bit spongy. Inside, it's best in class. Best fit and finish, best road noise, best quality of materials. Despite being better than everyone else, and despite Volkswagen being associated with Audi, it is not the Audi experience interior. In terms of the haptics, it's a little bit lower level. You'll see here the steering wheel, although it looks and feels good, it's just a bit too big to be an enthusiast steering wheel. Here we can see the, I don't know, there's like a fake carbon fiber trim on this car, on the doors and in the center console. It doesn't look expensive, but it certainly doesn't look cheap. You'll notice that the center console, you may or may not notice, it's like tilted towards the driver. They made that for the car to look more like driver enthusiast oriented. That sound system that comes, the optional sound system, is completely amazing. The seats, these are what the plaid seats look like. The tissue is made out of a very uncomfortable material, but somehow when you sit on it, it's just fine. Taking this car out on the road, once again, one of the things that struck me right away was the solidity and the just calm of the cabin. It really makes a positive driving experience when you're not on the car. It's nice sometimes to turn the car off, so to speak, as when you're not driving enthusiastically. Let's listen to my comments on the road. Now, the suspension is taking the bumpy roads well. Accelerator needs to be pressed very hard. I'm just pressing it pretty good now, and it's not changing gears or nothing. It's holding the road well though. Look at how effortless that is. Feel that the car is lighter in the slow, tight curves. Kickdown takes a bit of time. It's pretty good. Brakes are good. The car is taking this long sweeper very well. So obviously the money has been put in the suspension. The suspension is very good. Car leans a bit in the corners, but that's not a bad thing, I think. It's not too bad. It doesn't lean too bad. You don't feel like the weight shifting massively when it leans in the corner. You just feel it the springs have got to give a bit. Steering wheel feels good. It's a bit wide, but it feels good. The grips on the 10 and 2 at lock position are fine. The leather is very soft. Touch points are very good. The paddle shifters are very close to the steering wheel. They're not far away, so it's feels more sporty somehow. Sometimes they're they're maybe an inch and a half off the steering wheel. Here they're very close. Visibility is very good. I like that the hood swoops down, so you have an even bigger view of the road. I think in sporty driving, that's a good thing. This car feels smaller, and I mean that in a good way. It's wrapped around you more as a driver without being claustrophobic. I think that's the hallmark of a driver's car. Just speaking to Pan off camera, he was mentioning that the car, dimension-wise, he said, is, on paper at least, a bit bigger and wider. But you don't feel that from the inside. It feels actually, if anything, a bit smaller. Something I like about Volkswagen is that, and Germans in general, is that they're constantly polishing their fine products. So for example, it wasn't enough to change the chassis. They upgraded the sound system. Before it used to be a 300 watt Dyna Audio, now it's a 400 watt Fender. We listened to it before and it was excellent. So keeping with that premium experience that the GTI has become. So I put in sport mode now. I'm going to drive it pretty fast. Push is pretty good. Even at 5,000, that's pretty good. Oh, we're going to look good. 3-speed sweeper here. I like the way like I'm taking these curves really hard, and the rear end I felt was placed itself as the car was oversteering, so which is good. This is a very horrible road. There's lots of bumps and the car is not upset by it. So, I mean, suspension premium. The car is premium. It feels premium. I'm driving automatic, yet I'm not being distracted by faulty gear switches. Once again, I'm getting that feeling that the car is much tighter than the previous version. I drove the 2012, and although it was very powerful and the car went well and there was room and it did everything right, it didn't feel quite the driver's car that this one felt. So that's an improvement, a significant improvement in terms of the enthusiast perspective. I'm gonna drive it hard again because I just really enjoyed that. Wow, the car really drives well. Really drives. The brakes are good. The general fit and finish feels tight. It feels German, actually. I haven't heard any rattles, and another telltale sign is when I played the sound system very loud, it didn't rattle at all. So you're feeling like this car is expensive, and it is expensive compared to its competitors, but I think like compared to the WRX, compared to the ST, you're feeling where your money is in terms of the general quality and also the sophistication of the drivetrain. The drivetrain is very, like, you know, like when you get into a Mazda Speed, like, yes, the engine is very powerful and everything, but it just seems like the other components of the car can't take the engine. You don't get that feeling in the GTI. The engine is 210 horsepower, the brakes can take it, the chassis can take it, the suspension can take it, the solidity of the car can take it. It's just much more, and that's the sophisticated driving experience. I'm having a lot of difficulty finding things wrong with this car, at least in relation to the previous one. Now, I'm not saying that this car is quite as hair on fire to drive as an ST or a WRX, though the WRX is much more refined than it used to be. However, I just find the overall experience, it's sort of like, I use this example a lot, it's like 4 + 4 = 9 with this car. The overall experience is very good. It doesn't have the best looking exterior, it doesn't have the sharpest handling, it doesn't have the most powerful engine, but somehow I'm driving this and it feels just right. So I have to say though, I don't see any on the road. There are not many Golf GTIs on the road, at least in Quebec, Canada. I don't know what it's like in the United States, but I suspect it's the same. I guess the hot hatch clientele wants something a little bit more hair on fire. So I suspect that's one reason why maybe they're not selling. And also I think at this price point, this car is all equipped as a $40,000 car. I don't know if the hatchback has the premium association in people's brains that, let's say, the 4-door sedan has. So also you're getting close to A3 prices, Audi A3 prices, which has, let's face it, a more premium brand, a more premium interior, and a more premium exterior treatment also. So it's kind of hard to find where this car fits, despite it being very, very good. I would own this car. In fact, I wanted to own this car if it was not for the crummy dealer experience. And but look at it another way. When you're driving this car, if you're an enthusiast, anybody who knows anything about cars will automatically know you're an intelligent person. They're gonna know right away, because this is the intelligent enthusiast purchase. I mean, it's just the right blend between everyday livability and sporty ride. Around town, the transmission in normal mode, imagine normal, is unbearably laggy. It takes time to shift gears. It always shifts too soon, down a gear or up a gear. Like, let's say you're in third, it's gonna go to fourth and fifth really fast before you'd want it to. It diminishes the everyday driving experience of this car. So, a little caveat there.